Hello, everyone, and happy Janmastami. So today in the 3T Path channel here, I'd like to give you some little drops of nectar of Krishna's birth and his early days in Vrindavan, just for us to celebrate here this beautiful day of Janmastami 2023, which is happening right now today. So my idea today is I'll be talking a little bit about his coming and give you a little idea, if you don't know, just for introduction to the sweetness of Krishna's childhood, Leela's, his pastime. So let's get started right away then. So, um, today we're celebrating Janmastami. And before we understand Janmastami, why did Krishna come down at all? So let's talk about what the Bhagavad Purana explains is the reason for his coming down. So you'll see in the Bhagavad Purana that, and you'll see from all the Puranas, that there has been this eternal uh, Star Wars. There's been this war in the stars in the universe between the Asuras and the Devas. So there's always this constant battle. In the West, we would talk about this battle between good and evil, but actually, it's just more of a battle between righteousness, dharma, and and just all out sense gratification and controlling and just emphasizing pleasure above dharma would be the real battle, as described in the Vedic tradition. So you have the idea is that you have the demigods, the devas, were helping to administrate the universe. The god of thunder, the god of sun, moon, these personalities. And then you have on the other side of the battle, you have the Asuras. And the Asuras are a race also of, non-earthly beings, and they have their planets and they have their kingdoms and civilizations in the universe. And they're also very powerful. They're, of course, much more powerful than us measly humans. But they live in a lower region. They live in a region where there's no sun. It's only artificial illumination based on on the special jewels they have. So they live in a place with no sun, but with lots of luxury. So I usually like to tell my students it's kind of like Las Vegas at night. So imagine Las Vegas at night. It's very, very luxurious, lots of lights, but there's no sun because it's at night. But there's lots of focus on pleasure, just hedonistic pleasure, enjoyment, without much care, without any care actually, for spirituality, and without too much concern about what's proper, what's correct, about dharma. It's more about, just having fun and doing whatever they want to do. So you have this battle, this Star Wars going on of the Asuras and the Devas. So now what happens is, like, what is this image here on the screen? What happens is there was this, one previous major attempt. The Asuras are always trying to overtake the Devas and, rule their, take over their bit of the universe. So in the last such attempt, the Asuras again got destroyed. They got beaten down by the Devas, because what happens is, whenever the Asuras are almost winning, God comes down as an avatar and reestablishes, realigns the universe in with its proper balance, with the Devas in control, because that's the proper balance of the universe. So whenever the Asuras are almost winning, they appeal to God, and then God comes down as an avatar and does something, and they can't beat God, and they can't figure out that it's God. They think it's some special thing. They think the next time we'll beat this thing, this guy. But anyway, they don't. They lose. So they came up with this plan. They came up with this plan, and this is also in the Mahabharata, by the way. And the plan was, well, let's just all appear on Earth, and let's appear not just coming down in our spaceships, because that would violate universal law, but let's come down taking birth in the family of powerful dynasties. So they all came down, they figured out a technology to take birth, to come inside the little baby form of the son of great kings. So they did that. They coordinated this coming through appearing within the bodies of the children of these great kings who were ruling the earth about 5,200 years ago. So that way it was dharmic. It wasn't breaking the law exactly because they were just taking birth, So then, hey, we're just here. We're not invading. Hey, I took birth here. So then with that technique, they managed to control it because they figured if we can control Earth, then we can beat the Devas because the Earth is kind of like a staging point. It's very important for their strategies. So let's take care of Earth. So they said, we'll take care of Earth. And then what happens is Earth noticed. So, Mother Earth, Bhumi, Mother Earth noticed this discrete invasion of the Asuras, and she reported the situation to the Devas. She said, "Look, guys, you guys, look, this is happening. This is, I'm in charge of Earth, and this is happening. So what are you guys going to do about it?" And the Devas all went to Lord Brahma and they said, "Look, well, we've got to do something about this. What's going on?" So this is them here with Lord Brahma and the Devas and Lord Brahma, and they got together and they said, "Look," and Lord Brahma says, "Yeah, oh man, I don't know, I don't know what we can do. We have to ask for help from God, from Krishna." So they all went and they prayed together and they got together and said, "Please, look, there's a situation going on and we can't figure it out. We need your help with this. So please come down and um, and help us figure this out." And that's when Krishna says, "Okay, I'm gonna come down," because he figured it was about time anyway, for other reasons as well. It was about time, yada dharmasa. It was time to come down to bring again the knowledge of dharma, to realign earth with dharma, and of course to remove the presence of these intruders who weren't supposed to be here, because that was gonna completely subvert the whole the 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 reason for existing of the earth, and it was going to mess up and deharmonize the whole universe. So he said, "Look, because of that, I'll come down anyway. It's about time I came down to earth." So that's why Krishna comes down, just in case you didn't know. I'll give you the backstory there. So then Krishna does come down, and immediately he has to deal with problematic asuras because he knew that was going to be part of the thing even before coming down. So he decides to come down and he decides that he's going to appear as the son of Vasudeva and Devaki. So these are great souls who actually had prayed many lifetimes ago to have God as their son and had God as their son before. And so these are very important eternal associates of God, and they have this service, this wonderful special elevated position where they do this service of, you know, being the quote unquote mother and father of God. Of course, people get confused with this. God, of course, God isn't actually taking birth. God exists forever. He just appears through a mother and father. We're going to see that he doesn't even appear through he doesn't even take a regular birth like you and I took, all, little tiny coming out of the womb covered in gooky stuff. No, he doesn't even do that. He just appears before them. But anyway, but he goes through that process. So he chooses Vasudeva and Devaki. Now, what happens is, though, that we have Kamsa here. Kamsa is one of the major asuras. And so Kamsa, he is the bad guy here holding the sword. This terrible Kamsa is actually the brother of Devaki. So Devaki is a wonderful Vaishnavi, eternal associate of Krishna. Um, but her brother was one of these asuras. He's one of these little baby, asura invasion people, and so he's very powerful. He's a very powerful, taking birth in this nice family, but this subverted way. So he's actually an asura now. So he's taking so in the day that Devaki and Vasudeva are getting married, and this beautiful, king, King Kamsa, his sister's getting married. So, it's a big deal, right? You've seen royal weddings, right? Even to this day, they're like a very big deal. So, beautiful procession, very big deal. And Kamsa is there playing his part as a, you know, king and the brother of, Devaki getting married, Vasudeva, beautiful procession. Everything's going very nicely. And then to get things going, Narada Muni, this great cosmic sage, speaks without being seen through the ether. This voice is spoken, you know, this unbodily voice speaks out and says, Kamsa, you great fool, the eighth child of your sister will kill you. And Kamsa is so evil that immediately upon hearing this celestial warning, he grabs, you can see him here, grabbing his sister by the hair, takes his sword out, and he was just going to decapitate her right there and then in the middle of her marriage procession. Now, Vasudeva, who's her husband, he looks at her. He looks at Kamsa and says, Whoa, 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 Kamsa. He's very smart. He's diplomatic. He says, Whoa there, brother in law. What? You don't want to do this? This is gonna destroy your image because these asuras they cultivate their image. They're kings. They can't just you know act like monsters because that again they would violate all the principles and then they would get dharma would allow they would be destroyed by dharma. So like no, they can't do that. So look, you can't just decapitate your sister here in front of everyone. Can you imagine like a royal wedding? Imagine the last royal wedding you saw and imagine like, the brother of the princess is like, no, you can't do that. And look, Vasudeva, take it easy. What did you hear? You heard that her eighth son is gonna kill you, right? So you have nothing to worry about, right? She's not a threat. It's only her eighth son. I tell you what, look, I'll tell you what, I promise you, you will hand you her sons. Like if we have any children, we'll hand them over to you so you don't have to kill her. Please preserve her life. Don't kill her now because she's not a threat. So anyway, he presents this good argument, and Val comes and says, "Okay, all right, I trust because you could trust Vasudeva. Okay, I'll trust you then, and I'll let her live." Let her live for now. But he wouldn't trust them too much because he immediately put them in there in his little prison dungeon. So he put them in the prison dungeon. Said, yeah, you guys can live here because I want to keep my eye on the two of you because I'm worried about this child who's going to come and kill me. So anyway, so it's really horrible. It's one of the most horrible things in the story of Krishna. So they have babies. They're married. They start having babies, and every time they have a baby, Kamsa comes into the prison cell, grabs the newborn, and smashes their heads against the stone walls, immediately killing. He's such a horrible person. He's really heavy duty Asuras, really evil, where he would kill the newborn children of his sister and Vasudeva. He was killing them immediately. But and there's a backstory to that as well. Actually, they were like his previous children. But anyway, the fact is, Vasudeva and Devaki somehow managed to not go crazy with this situation. They're just trying to stay alive, and they have a hint, an idea that actually this is the way they serve, this is the way they're going to prepare for the coming of God. So they accept this austerity of having to see these children being killed by and comes and they don't have any choice. They're arrested and nobody's powerful enough to fight against Kamsa. These were very powerful swords. They had taken over the planet. So anyway, so this is six sons Kamsa kills. When it comes to the seventh pregnancy of Devaki. What happens is there's this voice. Yoga gets Maya gets invited to transfer in the fourth month of the pregnancy to transfer the embryo, the baby, to a different womb, to Rohini's womb in Vrindavan. So this special situation is set up where it is actually Balaram, so Krishna's brother, Balaram, older brother Balaram. He comes and he gets transferred from Devaki's womb to Rohini's womb over there in and Vrindavan, Gokula. So it looks to Vasudeva, to Kamsa, I mean, on the outside, he looks to her that she just had a miscarriage because she was pregnant till the fourth month, and then she was no longer pregnant. So he gets a little confused. It's like, is that count as the seventh? Or when he said it was the eighth, was that like this? Anyways, he get a little confused, but he doesn't care. He's going to kill him anyway. But he gets a little confused. But anyway, so number seven was hidden. It was Balaram. He got transferred somewhere else. Then Krishna comes today. On this day of Janmastami, Krishna arrives. So then finally the eighth pregnancy comes. But on the day that Krishna comes, then what happens is he just appears. You can see he first comes out as a baby, but immediately he comes out first in his full four-armed form. His full four-armed form holding, the chakra and the mace and the conch shell and the lotus flower, fully dressed with his kastuba gem, with garlands, with his helm, with his yellow silk outfit. So he comes fully shining forth as the Supreme Lord. He doesn't take, again, he's not like a little gucky baby coming out of the womb of Devaki. He comes out and says, "Look, I have come." And they're like, "Oh, wow. Yes." Like, and he says, "Look, don't worry about it." And they're like, and they're because they're like in the fatherly mood of love, Vatsalya Rasa, they're like, "Oh, no, no, you got to get out of here because Kamsa, he's a real wacko. He's going to come down and kill you." Christian's like, "Yeah, don't worry about it. Anyway, I got a plan." So what he says is, "Look, I got a plan. What we're gonna do is this. I'm gonna make all the doors open and I'll make all the guards fall asleep. And you, Daddy Vasudeva, you take me over to Gokula. Take me over there because I'm going to take shelter of that family of Nanda and Yashoda near where my brother Balaram is. So we're going to go over there, hidden. Okay, so it can be all right." So then Krishna does his magic, and boom, all the doors open, all the guards fall asleep, and Vasudeva then carries him, and he still has to deal with the thunderstorm and crossing the Yamuna. So it's like he still has some adventures there. But anyway, so he crosses the turbulent rivers, and he gets to Gokula. Now, what happens is in Gokula is that Mother Yashoda just had a baby as well. She had a baby girl. But again, part of Krishna's magic thing was that everybody there accompanying the birth, Mother Yashoda herself, they all kind of passed out immediately, just right on time, so that Vasudeva arrives there and switches the babies. And he takes back this baby girl back to the dungeon cell. Of course, this isn't actually just a baby girl. It was actually, the material energy personified. It was yoga. It was Maya personified. And then when Kamsa comes down the next morning to kill the newborn, as soon as he grabs the baby to smash the head against the wall, the baby slips out of his hand and takes on her full, scary form as the personification of the material energy. And she says, "You fool, you will die. He's gone already. This was a trick." To really freak him out, really make him, get messed up. thinking about Krishna nonstop because, like, now look, he's escaped, you idiot. You tried all these things and it didn't work. Your plan failed. So he's like, ah, in panic. Anyway, so now we're back. Let's go back to Krishna now. So now Krishna is there and they are all like, oh wow. So Mother Yashoda had a baby boy. They didn't, the whole baby girl thing, they didn't, none of that got registered. It all got forgotten. Look, she had a beautiful baby boy. It's Krishna. So there she is with Krishna. And so, this is today, Janmastami. So she's there celebrating the birth of Krishna. And she just thinks, she's in profound Vatsalya rasa. She's the topmost example of perfect motherly love of God. So she's completely absorbed in thinking, this is just my baby. Notice that with Devaki and Vasudeva, they saw Krishna. They knew he was God right from the get-go. But with Mashoda, no, with Yashoda, this is full Yoga Maya in action. So she's fully committed to seeing Krishna only as a baby boy, her little baby boy, not as God. So her love is completely pure in that sense. And of course, Krishna also asks Yoga Maya to make him forget he's God so he can completely enjoy this pure love of, of Mother Yashoda. So, okay, so this is Krishna taking birth now. And so here we have now, let's talk about Krishna in the three phases of his um, aspects of his child Krishna. Okay, so the first aspect here we can see is the unlimited sweetness of child Krishna. So, baby Gopal, he's very sweet. So, in the different rasas, you can see him being sweet here with the animals, you can see him being sweet here with the fruit vendor, with his parents here in the middle, Yashoda and Nanda, carrying Nanda's shoe on his head. This is the Supreme Lord, and he's carrying, his devotee shoe on his head. And you can see him here on the right with his little friend, with Balaram helping him out, and Mother Yashoda getting him dressed, and his little friends are waiting there in the back to play with him. So that's all very so unlimited sweetness in the rasa of friendship, of child, of brother, of with the animals, with the birds and the deer and the kind of little calves and the cows. So just endless sweetness in all the different kinds of rasas. And then you have um, Krishna as the naughty boy. So this is very important aspect of the Krishna's pastime, which has enchanted people for thousands of years. So Krishna with mother, with Yashoda, he's always being a very naughty boy and doing all sorts of naughty things to make Yashoda, to agitate her and to agitate the other ladies of of Gokul and Vrindavan, and they would see him being naughty and they would complain to Mother Yashoda, but all, of course, in great, endless bliss and ecstasy of love for Krishna, they would enjoy his naughtiness like that. And then, of course, also Krishna just as God, breathing in his childhood pastimes, you have all these moments where his supreme lordship is made clear and established. Right, he has to deal with Lord Brahma, confusing him for a mere mortal. He has to deal with all these scary asuras. He saves devas who are trapped in the trees. So even as a little tiny child, he's doing all these things um, to establish so nobody gets too confused with the intimate Nara Lila activities, his special activities as a human, to confuse him for being just a human. And we also have, of course, Krishna versus the Asuras. So what happens is, of course, um, uh, Kamsa, right, he was scared out of his life when this with this information that Maya told him that, look, he's gone. The person who's going to kill you, we warned you, he's gone. And so he's trying to kill all the children who were born recently, kind of like the thing in the Bible. So he tries to kill all the recently born children. He's like, I'm not going to take any risk here. I'm going to just try to kill any child born recently. So he sends out his fellow asuras who had also taken birth in animal species. The asuras not only came down in humans and as the children of great kings, especially, but they came down also in the form of animals because animals can also kill and not um and not go against dharma. There's nothing wrong with, it's not adharmic, it's not anti-dharmic for an animal to kill a human. It's like, hey, this is what we do, a big snake, I kill people. And so they came down as animals, and as animals, they would attack Krishna. They would attack Gokula and Vrindavan. They would go there and try to attack them. And so you have snakes, you have even asses, you have form of wind, you have witches coming down, you have all these different asuras coming to kill Krishna. So, like a big part of his childhood pastimes is him killing these terrible asuras, even though he's just a little child. The first one he kills is Putana. He's only a little baby, and she tries to kill him by putting poison on her breasts and having him suckle poison, but he kills her instead. So anyway, and because of these demons, they actually moved from Gokula to Vrindavan because they thought, no, there's something wrong here. All these horrible demons are coming. So let's go somewhere else. But they keep coming anyway. So that's Krishna fighting the Asuras. And of course, in terms of love, in terms of profound bliss and sweetness, we have Krishna and the gopas, the little boys. So Krishna playing with all the young boys in Vrindavan and later, in Gokul and later in Vrindavan. So this is Krishna here with Balaram going out with his little friends to herd the calves. Until they were 5, they would only herd the calves, and then later they would herd the cows, and they would play together and eat together, and all these eternal associate. These are, of course, highly elevated, perfected souls who have taken birth as, according to the rasa that they have established with Krishna. These souls have, of course, Sakya rasa, the relationship of friendship with Krishna, and then they take this special birth to enjoy Krishna's Nara Lila, Krishna's presence on earth, just before they go back forever to the spiritual world to do this eternally. In the spiritual world, they get to do it here on earth with Krishna. So these, of course, are is it brand new, as it were, eternal associates of Krishna who have come to this level of being able to be with Krishna directly. And so they would play with him and eat with him and just enjoy this endless friendship, love with him. Now, of course, we also have Krishna and the gopis, because, of all the rasas, the one that most captivates humanity in general and has given the most attention by the spiritual masters, certainly in our lineage, is the it's Vatsali, is the Sringara rasa, is the Madhurya rasa, is the rasa of romantic love. And so, of course, with the gopis, this is like the very topmost aspect of the Bhagavad Purana, where Krishna's life is described, is the this encounter of the love, the absolutely perfect love. They're considered the topmost perfected spiritualist in all of existence, the gopis, because of their love is so intense. So of course all the stories of Krishna and the gopis are very important, and and you know endless love. And of course the Rasa Leela is considered the topmost of 4 chapters of the Bhagavad Purana that describe these events, or are considered the highest aspect of the Bhagavad Puranam. And of course, we have the divine couple when we're talking about Krishna. Of course, we talk about Radha as well. So it's Radha Krishna. And one of the beautiful things about Janmastami is that this means that Radhastami is just around the corner because it's first you have Janmastami and then very soon you'll get Radhastami. Her birth comes at a similar time, or not birth, yeah, again, appearance. So this is the divine couple. Very nice. So this is and then this is the bad news. He leaves Gokula. Then his childhood pastimes come to an end, and he goes to Mathura. What happens is his uncle Krura has to go there to fetch him at the request of Kamsa. And even Vasudeva, remember, he wanted to see his child. He never saw his child. Vasudeva and Devaki didn't get to see their child. He was whisked off on the very moment he was born, and so it was time for Krishna to get on with his other activities and responsibilities of his coming down. So then he has to go to Mathura, unfortunately. And of course, this leaves all the residents of Vrindavana completely distraught for the rest of their lives in separation of Krishna and always just thinking and meditating on Krishna, never forgetting him, and but always missing him dramatically. And then of course Krishna goes on to Mathura, and then from Mathura he goes on and he finally kills Kamsa in Mathura, and then he goes on to Dwaraka and goes to establish his kingdom as a prince, but in Dwaraka, and he leaves, the rest of his life. You have the Pandavas come in, and then the Pandavas help in the removing these asuras from the planet, and of course you have the famous battle of Kurukshetra, where Bhagavad Gita is spoken, where all the asuras remaining on earth get wiped out by the Pandavas and their armies, and everybody gets removed from the planet, and everything so gets restored back to normal at the Battle of Kurukshetra. And of course, it's there that Krishna leaves the Bhagavad Gita, which is one of his reasons for coming down, was to establish, to give us a window into the eternal kingdom of Gokula, and so we can understand the relationships with Krishna, the beauty of having a sweet, intimate, loving rasa relationship with Krishna, and to leave behind the perfect knowledge of yoga, because he says, look, it had been lost. That's why he accepted the invitation to come down himself when the demigods asked for his help, because he wanted to leave the knowledge of yoga as well. So he left behind the Bhagavad Gita famously, and also the Uddhava Gita. And today would be the day we're doing our Uddhava Gita class here on this channel, but I decided to do this class instead. So you follow the Uddhava Gita course in this channel if you want to. And of course, you can join my Bhagavad Gita course as well. And that's why Krishna came down to give us this opening to connect, to reconnect with him, yoga connection. And on this beautiful Janmashtami day, it's a special day for you to do that. So take opportunity, take this special day today to redouble your efforts, or to begin your efforts to connect with Krishna in love. So that's it for now. I wish you all a wonderful Janmashtami with lots of bhakti, lots of love, always thinking of Krishna, prasad, eat lots of prasad, and be very happy and reconnect with Krishna so you can make your human life entirely successful. Hare Krishna.